listening, like here, gather around, children, listen to me. If leaders take that stance, they're not going to succeed because people aren't obedient children. They're not going to listen to the teacher. They're busy with their work, they're busy with their life. And so, what I've seen is that a leader doesn't start with storytelling, they start with story listening. That leader has to have a command of the past of the organization because leaders bridge the past and the future and the present. They refer to the past to enable people to feel the present and to see the future. It's not some kind of radical transformation because we don't like change. But a great story from a leader can bring people along that path. This is how it was, and this is how it is. A little different. There were scary moments, but we got here. And this is the future. We're going to go forward. We did it before. We can do it again. When I think about the problem of working with organizations, audiences, teams, is I see little arrows on their heads, and they're all going in different directions because they have their own stuff to take care of. A leader is trying to move everyone's arrow in generally the same direction. And the way to do that is they talk about what North Pole is, North Star is. What is a story that gets everyone's arrow to point in the same direction? You know, when you hear the word design, you'll hear the word empathy used, like within a few words of its radius. It's about how it makes you feel, not how it makes me, the designer, feel. How do you feel matters more. I will only know how you feel if I've listened to you. Design tends to mean that you're not taking the linear path. We all love the linear path. It makes sense. It's the lowest path of risk. But when designers are freed to accept risks, do some things, experiment, out of their comfort zone, they expand their imagination and they find a way back to the problem. It wasn't until I began to lead that did I understand how leading is a kind of design problem. I look at leading as a kind of making, as a creative problem. How to be a creative leader, I think, is the most interesting problem today for any person who's in the creative fields. What's the future of storytelling? I think it has a lot more to do with listening than telling. I think leaders discover so often how they can get stuck in their own story and tell a great story, but there's no one listening. They may be in the room, but no one can hear them. The only way they're going to hear them is for the leader to listen to them first. Story listening has to come before leaders' storytelling.
Right, so you talked a lot about leaders, but we can easily swap the word designer for leader, and it would be the same result. So before we tell our story, we have to listen to our audience to really understand what is it like, how we can make sure that what we are trying to say can reach them. Um, uh, and so every time we make a design that we start from our communication problem, we have to do some reviews. We have to listen to our audience. This also sometimes happen before we do the design itself, but yeah, it's very much a process where we listen to what the users have to say so that we can, this moving arrow that he talked about, so that we can direct them to the North Pole being our communication work. Okay, so this is a bit an introduction about rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping is eventually is gonna what we're gonna do today is literally just try and make something coming from a concept that we're gonna have. And now I want to talk to you about a bit the prototyping that I made for diving into an acidifying ocean. This project that I showed you yesterday. I'm gonna quickly show you the project in case you weren't there yesterday, or just to give you a better idea of what it is. And I probably have to change. Mm-mm. Okay, so you guys can see my Chrome windows. Yeah, okay. So this is the web experiment I talked to you about. and I'm going to show you part of it just so you get an understanding of what I'm going to show you after also. So we go under the ocean. We learn that we're about to kill 96% of the ocean lives. We see animals exploding. To support this killing thing, we introduce the great dying. I'm gonna skip ahead now because the rest is fine. You probably have a lag in what I'm showing, so just bear that in mind. So now we get into the part where there is the timeline and the data on the top, and I start encountering the animals. So there is all the scientific data about the animals. And I get this is the pteropod. I'm gonna talk about this later again, but you see it's gonna start having a dissolution animation. If you were there yesterday, you know already why, but I'm gonna repeat it in a second. And voila. So then you start moving through times. You start learning some things about the ocean. Oh, the next button is right under your faces. Voila. Oh, great. This is better. So you start encountering animals and you click along and you see things changing. And if I go very much ahead in time, I have to skip a lot of text. We don't need to read this whole thing. But we see that the ocean starts changing color. It's more yellow now. There's acidic swells. This is all becoming from blue is becoming orange and red. And voila. I mean, I don't have to tell you much more about this. I just want to. Oh, I have to. It doesn't go along with. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea of what I told you about yesterday. Okay, so we can close this. Oh, and um, so yeah, right. So this was the project that I did with Google Arts and Culture. It's a web experiment using data to understand what's happening in the ocean. So this is the pteropod, this little animal that I showed you at first, the first animal that we encountered. That on the left hand side, or probably your right, I don't know if it's mirrored, there is this like the animal as it is in himself, and then the starts dissolving. And this was taken by the scientific paper where I basically there were these pictures of this shell dissolving over time over 45 days. And so I was trying to mimic this in the behavior or the dissolution of the animation. So what we did yesterday was learning photogrammetry. And as I told you already yesterday, this is how I learned, I did my prototype to which I got the project. So basically, when Google approached me, they sent me a brief. They were like, okay, you have 10 days to answer to this brief, make a proposal to come up for a web experiment. um, and of course they told me basically he has to use data. They gave me some references. He had to use some official, let's say, data sets, and he had to talk about a specific problem of climate change. And they gave me some examples, but they said you can choose something else. So I made the proposal of ocean acidification. Before making the proposal, I did a lot of reading scientific paper. So I informed myself with with the problem, let's say, so that I wasn't just talking about random things. um, then once I found my angle, which was okay, there is ocean acidification in the ocean. This is a big problem. We don't really know much about it. We should. So what's happening in the animals is my key point of view. I'm gonna talk about this, and in order to then get the project, I had to show what this experiment would look like. So I introduced the concept, and then I made these prototypes. I made two prototypes. This is one I'm going to show you another later, to support my concept, right? So this is the shell that I made with photogrammetry. It's literally the same process that we did together yesterday. I took some photos of the shell I had at home. I cut out the background, and I applied. I used VVV to make this prototype, and I applied some noise functions so that these dissolution animations would be the same of this image that I showed you before. And again, this is happening over time. So as the user would eventually read about the scientific problems. Sorry, something beeping. Okay. I will learn. So literally this I in my presentation pitch, let's say, I put this, then I put an image of the dissolution, trying to mimic this 45 days image there. And then I started making a hint of a possible UI. It was very brief, but it was simple. I didn't have all the information yet, and the client also knows that you don't have all the information, but it's just is right to account for having all these concepts there. Um, so this was the first prototype to support the animal idea. So to show the client how I would visualize all this, the problem on the animals. So that the client has an idea, okay, I go on the website, there will be some storyline that tells me what the problem is so that the user learns what we're talking about, and then they have an understanding um, of what is going to look like the interaction with the animals. I also made a prototype for the ocean, which is this that I'm showing you right now. And actually this visualization, I used it in the pitch, but I didn't go for it after because it was too abstract. And I actually then I used it in another project, one of the medusae that I showed you yesterday. But it was interesting, as I told you with the very first slides, as I did the things myself, then I corrected myself because I realized that putting the shell and this ocean together, at least for me, wouldn't work so well because one is very abstract and very kind of, more like arty, and the other one is very realistic. So um, this is something that I pitched the project with, but then I dropped it. What I kept of this though was I'm going to zoom in. So basically, um, there are some particles that are red, and this one is what I kept, that I showed you briefly when I went through the prototype, was that the color of the ocean would change, like the pH would change. Well, the color of the ocean, sorry, would change with the pH changing over time. So yes, this is basically how I pitched the project. Is very very simple. It was a PDF of probably like 20 slides, literally presenting the concept. The concept is about acidification. This is what's happening in the ocean, is important because it has dramatic consequences, not just for the ocean, but for us. This is what the web experience looks like. There is a key focus on the animals. So I showed the animal prototype, and there is a journey over time through the ocean where I visualize the data, which is what they asked me in the brief. Very simple. Then, of course, there were other things like timeline and budget. But what is key, what was super, super fundamental in the process after, was how we worked together with Google, which is it's not just because it's Google. It's oh, some people are waiting. Sorry. Um, it's just the process that normally you go through with at least the clients I've been working with. So it's going prototype by prototype to, of course, build the project with more and more details, but also to do reviews to understand what works, what doesn't. So actually, this was the uh, very naive timeline, let's say. This was 2 months of work, which actually eventually turned out to be 6 months of work. But still, we kept the same process. Every now and again, we had reviews to review prototypes. So every time you see that there is this red box, we would send an updated prototype. Literally at first, in the first phase of the project, as we were starting to build the code, so there wasn't really much to see code wise. The prototype was mainly a slideshow. So I would say, okay, this story is like this. So at the beginning, okay, every second breath we take comes from the ocean. We dive under the ocean. We continue exploring, and then the more we continued, the more the prototype was improving. At every stage we sent a prototype. They will come back to us us, I mean the team, not just me. Um, okay, this is great. This actually doesn't work so much. This copy is a bit confusing. This interaction is a bit odd. Why don't you do this? And so on and so forth. So basically, suggestions. Also, some requirements, because of course it's a Google project, it's not just my RT fantasy, whatever. So this is, I mean, I use this with all my clients, but it is a fundamental part of the design process because one thing is having a concept in your head, one thing is then making it and see it come to life, because it's never 100% the same. Like you can imagine something, but nobody can actually see like 100%. Is like probably you've seen it yourself with your practice. You start with an idea and then it changes a bit. Even if you change the color, eventually it's a change. You know, like there is an evolution that happens over time. Like the design process is very much a journey. It's a bit of a roller coaster, and and then eventually we get to the end. And now I want to show you this Miro board that I made for this project. Um, so at some point, oh, I have to change. At some point, we stopped using it because then it became very much working on the prototype. But it was fundamental for me to do the research and also at the beginning to talk with Google. And I can show you this is very much a web of everything. Can look a bit confusing, but it's very. I personally adore it because it's not just for me. It's a collaborative tool, so everybody in the team had access to this. So sound designer, web developers, copywriters, even Google. You know, it was. It was for everybody and it was super super useful, especially to keep everything in one place so that I didn't have things all over the place, 50 docs, one for each person, etc. um, so I'm gonna just show you at first a bit how Miro works, and then I tell you a bit. I show you some things that changed over time in the project. So, for example, this is where I put all the research. I mean, yeah, most of the research, and there's a bunch of articles and a bunch of PDF. So, for example, this is a scientific paper. You can literally put in here a PDF, and you can like read the PDF in here. It's super super useful. Yeah, this for me was key because when I was reading a scientific paper, or generally when I do my research in any kind of project, I do it online and I bounce from one website to the next. And if I don't keep track of things like this, then I lose a key information somewhere and then I cannot find it anymore unless I try to I don't know, go back in my Chrome history and like see all the clicks I've linked and the links I've clicked and so on. It's so for me this is very important, especially when I have to when eventually this climate project had a scientific I was talking about science, so I couldn't just invent or say whatever. So this was really really important, and everybody had access to this. So if there was a, for example, when I was working with the copy on the copywriter, with the copywriter, there were some questions over the rephrasing, because of course we took the science, but we simplified it so that everybody could understand it, because scientific papers are a bit complex. And so if there was a question like, is this actually like this, or is it a bit different, then we could point back at a paper or an article or whatever in here. Um, so then, for example, here we had this sort of like whiteboard with tasks. After a while, we dropped it because we had Git issues or simply a Slack channel with to-dos. But in one of my old jobs, we used to have a whiteboard with post-it. We used to like take tasks. So this was nice. We also had the original schedule, which got completely trashed by Google. They let us work forever, but that's good to know. Dev requirements. I mean, this is quite boring, but it's interesting because you can leave comments. It's like I made this and then I send a comment to my developer. Hey, keep this in mind because this is very important. Or all the visual direction. A bunch of these things have been dropped. But my mood boards, I just made them here. Or yeah, these aren't very pretty mood boards, but it was a very very quick turnaround at the beginning, so it was enough. So this is actually something that we dropped in the project, but I was trying to talk about how the point should move under the ocean. We had absolutely no time to do this. The swirls, acidic swirls, so those red lines that were moving in the ocean, there were some information. It was was super practical because I could just put some images, leave some notes. I'm sure you can do better mood boards and things, so don't necessarily keep the style that I have, but I'm just showing um how I did it. There were some things of the UI. So this was, for example, you can also put GIF, which is great. This was an idea that I had on how to make the user understand that the timeline was active if the user would miss the um, the hint. Of course, we didn't have any time to do this because the project exploded. I pitched the project for 3 animals, and then they were like, "Yeah, we want 50 now." So, like everything changed, but you know I also wanted to make a title with bubbles, very acidic looking bubbles, but a bubble look. Google thought it was too funny, let's say too happy for the concept, so it was dropped. um, but yeah, so yeah, also I kept the data set. It was very important for Google to make sure that we mentioned the specific data set, etc. And so I had to keep track of everything. um, the copy. So this big bash of boxes here, these are all the animals. So when I was from the research that I showed you up there, I was just taking an image of the animal. So for example, seagrass, and then I was literally copy pasting all the research that I had about this. Then me myself, I was trying to rewrite it so that it's a bit nicer, and then I will pass it on to the proper copywriter. There were a lot of grammar mistakes in my English. um, yeah, basically, it's much more. And then I can show you a bit a first storyboard. This was, we had a very, very fast pace turnaround. So we were trying to work quite simply without going too fancy about doing fancy storyboards and things. I show you the first part. So as you see, this was um, with this look, this was the landing page that we had, that we dropped. Then, okay, the camera moves forward, and we had the copy here. Then, okay, the camera dives under the ocean. We go under the ocean, and we see the little animals appearing. The animals explode. Then, for example, you can see there were supposed to be some oxygen particles. We didn't have time to do them, so we dropped them. They start appearing the wheels that were meant to be interactive with the cursor. Too complex. We dropped it. It became a very complex project because we were running millions of points on an iPhone 6 in real time, so it became quite complex. But yeah, so I don't want to go too much into the details of things because it's not necessarily very interesting for you, but it's interesting to show you how I did this in Miro. I personally, this is also a personal taste, so try it, and if you don't like it, don't use it. But I really enjoy working with Miro because it's a collaborative tool, so everybody has access to everything. And um, and it's very easy to use, and it's yeah, for me, especially at the beginning of the project. After a while, I don't use it anymore, but it's super important to keep all the different elements in one place, because I have to say I'm also a bit messy, so having having everything in one place, it's helpful for me. Okay, so now let's go back to the presentation. um, Okay, so enough about me talking about myself and my stuff. Now it's time for you to start working. So the brief. Yesterday, I know I got it wrong. I saw on Slack is not about power and identity; it's just about power. But so you know your brief better than I do. But you've all been assigned a brief, if I understood it correctly, the different meanings of power and the intersection between humanity, technology, and sustainability. If it's wrong, please just work with what you know. And you have been assigned, if I understood as well correctly, in 13 different groups. So what I would like you to do is in your assigned group, you probably already have an idea of what you want to do at the end, or you probably have many. So maybe this is your chance to try something and see what happens there. So I would like you to make a prototype of your idea. This prototype, since we're not going to have much time, I'm going to show you the time we have in a second. Doesn't have to be very complicated. It can be a storyboard, it can be like a mock-up, like simple, I don't know, you can draw it or you can make it in Illustrator, very simple, you know. Doesn't need to look cool, doesn't need to look fancy. It's just the goal of this prototype is just to test your concept. So whatever easy quick way you can find to make this happen, go for it. Doesn't have to be fancy. And I would like you to use Miro if I mean, of course, if you want, if you feel comfortable with it, to work together with your team. So as I showed you, is a nice place to put all the information so that everybody has access to everything you're seeing. You can comment people, you can say, hey, you look at this, this is very interesting. You can yeah, I mean, I showed you, so I don't have to tell you too much about it. But if you're up for trying, please make a board with your team and start using it. You don't have to invite me or anyone else. It's just for you to keep your things there. Then we're going to have a feedback session. So this is what I was saying in the breakout rooms. That I would like you guys to ask another team to give you feedback. So I think one team is going to have to be of three. Well, no, not a team. One feedback session is going to have to be of three teams, because there's 13. I mean, if everybody is here, I'm not even sure. So, for example, team one gives feedback to team two, and the other way around too. Team three to four, and four to three. Team five to six, and the other way, so on and so forth. And then the last three all together. And after you're gonna have this feedback session, you're gonna go back to your concept prototype, and you're gonna try to improve it depending on what the feedback was. So I'm gonna go through everything, but then we start. So okay, so we're gonna do, it's 9:30, so we're gonna have roughly 1 hour for you guys to gather in groups and start making a prototype. It's very fast, so don't worry about making things fancy. It can literally be a drawing on a thing. It just has to basically be understandable for the feedback session. um, we're going to have a feedback session of two teams for 15 minutes each. For the last team, either you try and do it a quicker feedback session, or we give you a bit more time, depending on how much time you want after. And then we are going to go back into the prototype and reiterate till 11:45, and then we wrap up. Of course, there can be a bit of slack in the time there. Okay, so for the prototype, right, I told you about this. For the feedback, I'm gonna give you this again when we do the feedback session, but I just wanna tell you a bit in advance. So just some tips. If you team one ask feedback to team two, if you have something specific you would like feedback on, or if you don't even, just say it at first. It's like, okay, so my prototype, we think it's a great idea, but we aren't sure this interaction works. Can you tell me about this interaction? So that the team that's giving you feedback has already an idea. Um, Try to avoid negative feedback and try to be constructive and say, oh, I think this sucks, you're an idiot. Like, go, you know, try to ask question, which is the next point. Try to understand and try to offer suggestions or inspiration, you know. Don't be negative. And yeah, okay, and then we're gonna go back. So let's go for, so this, I'm gonna leave you this time here. Let's go for starting the prototype. Can you guys tell me if all the teams are, I'm gonna stop sharing so that I can look a bit better at the breakout room thingy. Can you guys tell me if all the groups are here or some group is missing? This is gonna be hard to oh yeah, somebody's speaking.
I think it's a mix. Like they are mostly here, but like some groups might have one representative, some might have two. So it's kind of like quite a mixed group.
Okay.
So maybe you can open the breakout rooms and let them enter by their team number because they're
Yeah.
named by team 1 to 13. And
Yeah.
CP team is team 14, for example. And then I think maybe you can enter to your, they can enter to your own
Yeah.
room. And
So so there is 14 groups or 13?
14, 13 plus 1. But the last team, CP team, is only one of the member is here.
Okay.
So if you
So
join another group.
okay, so I'm gonna make 14 breakout rooms and let participant choose room. Okay, so I'm gonna create this. Okay, open our room. So you guys feel free to go there. So then if you okay, let's chat. VCP is a big group of different subgroup. But we're not familiar for CP here. Okay, but if you don't have many people in the group, either you want to try yourself an idea that you already have, or you want to try something else. The idea of this rapid prototyping is really to try something quickly. So if maybe you have a project that you've been working on another subject, just try something. If you're the only one in a group here, can you do it yourself? Yes, sure. This is not like you don't necessarily gonna have to use this in your final project. It also something for it's a way to try things out. So if your group is entirely here and you already have an idea, that's like best case scenario. If you don't have an idea already, then use this time to try something. It doesn't have to necessarily be the final idea, just try something to see if, for example, if you don't know which, if you go the direction of sustainability or I don't know, politics, though this is random, try something of the two to see if you get a feeling of what's happening. If there is just one person, try and see if you want to try it yourself or join another group. That's also good. Yes, I'm gonna send the instruction for the prototype again, but it's really the instructions is make a prototype. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat and then I'm gonna share my screen again. Just because when I share my screen, I can't see all the buttons for for Zoom. So
I have a question.
go for it.
Is it possible for you to make a copy of the Miro that you showed us for us to watch? Because it had some good points that would be super nice to look through.
I don't. I could. Yes. Let me try. Let me see. Probably. Let me just try to see if I can open it to the public. Everyone with the link can view. Copy board link. Try and see if you can use this link. Okay, I haven't updated my Zoom so I can see the choose breakout room. Maybe try and update your your Zoom and come back to the chat, to the conversation.
Feels super untechnical to be in this workshop and not know how to update my Zoom, but I'll try
Don't
and
worry.
figure it out.
Okay, so otherwise you are okay, Thomas, right? And you are in group 6. Group 6
Yes.
is breakout room 6. Okay.
Sounds legit.
I guess I don't know. So Thomas, where are you, Thomas? Thomas Salin, right? Yes. Assign. Oh, no, this is okay, you disappeared.
I'm here.
Thomas Salin. Okay. 6.
Perfect. Thank you.
Did you get it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll join it.
Perfect. Anybody else?
My room, like I don't have anyone on my team, so can I do it on my own?
You can either do it on your own or you can join someone else's team. It's up to you.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I haven't been able to update Zoom as well, so I can't join my breakout room.
Okay, so you're Julia Carlson, yeah?
Yeah.
And what the room?
4.
4.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
cool. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm not being able to join my breakout room.
Rui.
I'm 14.
Rui 14. Perfect.
Thank you.
Did you get it?
Yes, now I got your link. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Iris, do you need me to put you in team 1 or? So we have Kristen, Kasper, Pietro Berg, David, and Anna Schunbeck.
Casper is not joining. He's a mentor, so he's here to.
Okay, sorry.
No worries.
Could you put me in team 1? If that works.
Hannah, yeah?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, you get it? Cool. Pietro and Berg and Kristen?
Yeah, Pedro, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And I are in the same group, so in 7. Oh, now I can join that. Is that the problem people are having, not being able to join? Sorry, I was grabbing a cup
No
of
worries.
coffee.
No worries. If you like, maybe you and Pietro should go for 7. If you are struggling to go there, I can put you there. So
Cool.
just...
I think I can go. I
Okay.
will.
Pietro, you?
Yeah, I can't go, but
Okay.
if you could put me
In 7, yeah? You got it? Cool.
thanks.
No worries. Kristel, sorry.
Hi, Cristina. I just
Hi.
wanted to ask one question. It's Casper
Sure.
here. Nice to
Hi,
meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Do you have any experience in using the platform Mural against Miro?
Oh yeah, you asked this question. No, someone
Yeah.
else. Let me see. I don't really know Mural. Let me just.
So if you don't know, then it's okay, because I was thinking which one to use. Is
Okay.
They
Yeah, no,
seem
I don't know.
quite similar, actually.
Yeah, I can see that it's quite similar, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's better. I only came across Miro and I started using Miro and I really enjoyed it. So I mean, if the students prefer using Miro, if this is something you already are using, then please go for that one.
It seems a matter of preference, I guess.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
No
Very,
worries.
very interesting. And I loved your workshop yesterday. I made the 3D pumpkin.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Nice. I'm glad you made something. Okay, Krister, I don't know. So, okay, it seems there's people everywhere, so that's good.
Sorry, I've been
okay, no worries.
in a production meeting, so back and forth.
Okay, sorry.
Little bit late, just.
No worries. Did you get a chance to listen to the brief?
No.
So basically, the brief is no worries. Let me put back my presentation so I can show you quickly. So the brief, your brief, this is about the brief that the leader gave you. It's about power, if I understood correctly, between humanity, technology, and sustainability. And this is up, you know the brief better than me. So I would like you in your group to make a prototype for a concept that you might have or that you are struggling to have. Like you might have different ideas and you want to try things out. So find your team and start building a prototype together. This prototype can be anything. You're gonna have only until 10:30 to do it. So yeah.
I'll join them right away.
Okay, cool.
Thank
Sorry,
you so much.
sorry. Just to tell you, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And the breakout room is empty because basically we're the team 14 is CP team, which is more like a production and management team, and
Yeah.
not actually creating. Maybe production is, but so if you want to help Krista, I can join you.
Yeah, I just realized now that it's completely empty.
But if you two have a concept that you want to try, please like go for the two of you, or you can join someone else.
I would love to try a little bit, Rui, if you wanna go.
Yeah, I can bounce some thoughts. The only constraint I have is that my computer can't. Miro crashes my computer for some reason.
Okay.
But I if you share your screen, if needed, but I can join you then.
Cool. I'm joining room 14.
I'll try to join it. I couldn't do it last time, but
maybe you resigned already. So
how do I join? Ah, there. Okay, that was easy.
You got it? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris, are you? Okay. Hi, Joseph.
Hello. Sorry, I'm
Hi.
late.
No worries. Everybody's doing a prototype in a breakout room. Do you know, if you check the breakout room and you can see the name of your colleagues, of your team, the one,
Yeah.
the team you're doing your final briefing, please
Yeah.
join that breakout room and join them. Okay?
Okay, thank you. And sorry again.
No worries, it's okay. Hey, so please join the feedback, the room that you were assigned to. You can check the chat. I put there where you should go. I have to assign Thomas. 6 goes into 2. Yeah, so room 3 goes to room 1, room 6 to room 4, room 10 to room 7, room 12 to room 11, and Pebbles goes to 14 as soon as she comes back. Hi. Did you just arrive or you're back from a room?
Just arrived. I had
Okay.
a doctor's appointment.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So teams are in breakout rooms doing a feedback session right now, but it's going to end in 3 minutes. So please, in the breakout room, have a look at where your team is and join the room and just follow along. The feedback session is about to finish. They were doing prototypes on ideas for the final brief.
Oh, I don't think I see the breakout rooms.
So at the bottom, close to the screen and reaction, share the screen, etc., there is a button that says breakout room.
No, I haven't got the
Okay,
latest
so maybe
version.
you don't have the final. Do you know what your team is? Or
Yeah,
do you know? Yeah.
CP, the 14th one.
14. Okay, so you are Mike Carlson, and you go to 14. Okay.
Wait.
So you should have gotten a message. Okay, she's gone.
Cristina, if we are back, if we're done, should we go back to the main?
No, go back to your rooms and
Okay.
continue iterating on your idea.
All right.
Back.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Yep. Back to
Go
the
for
room,
it, guys.
people.
Back to
Yeah.
the room.
Room 11. Let's go. Let's go.
Maria Antonia, so you just joined.
Yeah, sorry. I just
No worries.
I just wanted to sneak in and see. And have a
No,
look.
it's okay, it's okay. So, do you have a
Penso che possiamo parlare italiano ora.
Ok, perfetto. Tu hai un team. Qual è il tuo team?
No, il mio team è CP Team e volevo
quindi eri
vedere
con Mike
cosa...
Carlson. Mhm.
Scusa?
Eri con Mike Carlson, la ragazza che era prima qui.
Lei è in un altro team, sì, sempre rappresentante di quel team lì. Ma volevo soltanto vedere cosa succedeva per capire un po' la situazione, cosa stavate facendo.
Praticamente.
Scusa se non accendo la telecamera, ma non
Non
funziona,
fa niente,
non
non
so
fa
perché.
niente, non ti preoccupare. Praticamente tutti i team stanno facendo un prototype per l'idea del brief o comunque stanno parlando del concetto, eccetera. E fino ad ora c'è stata una feedback session di 15 minuti per team, mezz'ora perché erano divisi per 2. E adesso, avendo avuto questo feedback, tornano a rilavorare sul concept, sull'idea, sul prototype.
Ok.
Quindi tu ti puoi unire e continuare con quello che hanno.
Ma io sono il project manager per il partnership team, volevo soltanto vedere che cosa facevate e poi io ho andare ora in un meeting, era soltanto per vedere, per capire un po' cosa stavate facendo. Purtroppo questa volta non posso partecipare
Non fa niente,
a
non fa
cose
niente.
creative, sono cose produttive.
Non fa niente, cioè nel senso se vuoi farti un giro per le room magari puoi vedere, ma se no insomma questo è quanto.
Ok, grazie mille.
Di che?
Ciao, complimenti
Ciao.
comunque.
A te. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Hi, Sarah. Did you just join, or are you coming from a breakout room? If you come from a breakout room, please go back and join again your team.
Okay, I thought we should go back here.
No, yeah, everybody should go back to the room where you started, like 4, 6, or whatever. So Hannah, you as well.
Okay, yeah, we thought that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the Hannah, you're muted, but yeah, is the room where you, like, if you went,
Yeah,
if
we
you
were
in room
together.
6 and you went to room 4, go back to room 6. So
Yeah.
no, it's not the main room yet. The main room, yeah, is gonna be in 45 minutes. But now go back to the room you were before the feedback session to iterate again on your idea.
Okay.
Then we should have stayed, Yabo, in the room we were in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need a hand moving back there, or are you good?
No, we're good.
Okay, go for it. Sorry?
Yabo, I would like that.
Okay, can you remind me the number of the room?
Yes, number 1.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much.
No worries. I just done it.
What happened, guys?
Where are we? Oh, but okay.
So guys, don't come back to the main room. Go to the room you were before the feedback session. So if you were to room 10 and you went to room 11 for the feedback session, go back to room 10 or whatever was your original room, okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sorry if it wasn't clear. Yeah, so for everybody, don't come back to this main room. Just go back to the room you were before your feedback session. So if you were in room 4 and then you went to room 6 for the feedback, go back to room 4.
Well, I left room 4, which is my original group, just because everyone else left and I was there by myself.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
There's some people in room 4 now.
Okay, and I see Vivian here as well. She's in my group.
Yeah, I was just on the bathroom, but we are going into.
Yeah, you
Well,
can do it
everyone
yourself.
left, and I was there like, fuck, am I supposed to leave as well?
Yeah, sorry, maybe it wasn't clear. Do you need a hand to go back there, or you can do it yourself?
No, I still have to update my.
Okay, so, but you can. You already have the invite, I think. No.
No.
I'm gonna.
Wait, maybe here. Okay, I have it.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Cool. Ciao. Hi. How's it going? So go back to the room you were before the feedback session to continue with your team.
But yeah, we're done basically. So we're like meeting after the lunch, and we'll be working together. So because we should do something more.
Yeah, I mean, basically after the feedback, you have to
Yes.
implement the feedback that you had
Yes.
to improve your concept.
Yeah.
And you have half an hour still to do that.
Yeah. But yes, we have.
I mean,
we've
if you're
it,
done,
basically.
you're
Yeah.
free. But
Okay.
yeah, you still can use this.
Okay.
Like maybe you can start making like mock-ups. You can start going like, if I were you, I would use this time to continue, like maybe you have the concept, so maybe it's time you can do, I don't know, a mood board or like a visual proof or something.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I will do that.
Cool.
I just thought that we have some kind of wrap up here, but it's
we're
fine.
gonna have the wrap up in 45 minutes. Sorry, at 11:45. So in half an hour.
Okay, super. Thank you so much, and
no
see
worries.
you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Are we still in the main room? Because it doesn't seem that there's anyone else.
No. I think we are gonna go off right now. But yeah.
Are we the only ones in this workshop?
Yeah, no, I think because she meant that we were because all the other groups, there were like different groups that were meeting for feedback, and now they're gonna go back to their only themselves, but we've only been with each other, so we don't have anywhere else to go. That's what she meant. But yeah, I'm gonna go off this meeting, and I'll see you guys soon.
Yes. Bye.
See you. Bye.
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 Ray?
Hi.
Ray?
Yes.
What happened? I got disconnected for the last 10 minutes because my mobile data just went out.
I'm confused. Is the meeting, the workshop over, or?
No, it's still going on. I think people are still in a breakout room and I don't know what happened. Like Cristina, I don't know where is she. I think we're in the main room, but I got disconnected. I thought everyone went into the main room, didn't we?
I thought I was going to the main room, and then, well, I thought I did, but then I thought it was just us in the main room, from the same from that we were in the breakout room, and then I just.
I think you're back.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think everybody's back. We can wrap up this workshop. I would like to ask you guys question on how you found the feedback session. And actually, I have a question for somebody in particular. If I can find this person, if I can see the camera, I don't remember the name. Okay, this person is not in anymore. I think she was in team 4, and she mentioned that this exercise, she felt it was too early to do such an exercise. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. I didn't manage to record this message. Sorry, to remember the name. Is this person here? Or if you know what I'm talking about, if you can tell me the name.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So do you still think this workshop was too soon, like this prototype phase was too soon to do it? Or actually did you find it useful to share your thoughts with other people, another team?
No, I definitely think that there was a lot of good that came with this this workshop, like with the feedback and everything, like getting a new set of eyes. But this would also be very good in the later stage when you've already decided the idea. I think like it would be good to have like 2 of these sessions probably.
But do you think that this session helped you refine and make your idea more precise? Like, do you think this was a step forward in your process?
Not necessarily. I think we're still ideating and still circling around with different ideas.
And why do you think it? Why do you think you find it hard to settle? Not necessarily to settle, but to try something out rather than just talk about the concept.
Sorry, what do you mean with the question?
So why do you think for your team it was hard to try something straight away, rather than, like, for example, did you get to flesh out, writing down on Miro or somewhere, a mini storyboard of your experience and what it looked like?
I mean, yeah, we did the whole mirror board thing and everything, but I guess like this exercise kind of provoked new ideas as well while we were doing the prototyping. So it felt like we weren't focusing that much into the prototyping part. Yeah, that's why I kind of found it difficult.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But I personally think that, because I find this in my practice, for example, in the project that I share with you, the Acidifying Ocean project, the moment I started doing because, okay, I got the brief on climate change, and there's so many things you could talk about in climate change, so many angles you could choose. And so when I started like doing the research, narrowing down the topics, I had a few different things that I wanted to do. But then for me, the game changer was very much when I made started making a storyline, a storyboard. I started flashing out what this experience would look like. That then eventually I managed to remove some things because I knew that my other concepts weren't so strong, or like my other ideas, not necessarily concept yet, weren't so strong on making it happen after. Like the data sets weren't so strong, there were some things that weren't there yet. And so for me, it was much easier to narrow down the idea once I managed to start making it a bit. For example, in my practice, a keynote is my best friend. Before I go into all the fancy programs, in all the Keynote or Google Slides, whatever you use, the main thing that I use always is it's literally a keynote. So I go like, okay, what is the concept? And that slide is empty for a very, very long time. And then I start putting things down on Miro and all of this. And then I start, okay, this seems like a good entry point, and I start going there. But I like until I write things down and I start fleshing out how this works, I have so many ideas that can go in different direction, and so it's very hard for me to channel it into one thing. So this is why I really encourage you guys to kind of at some point stop thinking, and which isn't like officially stop thinking, it's more like start making, so that then you can see better what you're trying to achieve. Is anybody else felt like Hisa, or has any other thoughts about this prototyping session?
I thought in the beginning that it might be like, oh well, do we really have anything to prototype? But then it really felt like we did a great leap after just getting into the mindset of, okay, let's prototype, and then getting feedback in such an early stage, I think was valuable for the thought process going forward, and like having the time to land a bit after the feedback. I think we started to hone in on what we actually wanna provide as an experience, and how that could look and sound.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And did your Miro board changed a bit as you after the feedback session? Did you like put some more stuff?
Like we had a mirror board before with schedule and ideation, and we also had boxes for general ideas that we came up with kind of on our free time, just to keep that going, and also inspiration that we can put up. And then we just did a big block where we started the kind of storyline or the storyboard for this prototype in. But then I think we were so happy with the thoughts that came up after the feedback that we were more just talking to each other. Like I'm writing down on paper now, and we'll transfer it to the Miro board going forward. But at the moment, I think the Miro board stayed the same after the feedback session because we had so much to talk about.
Yeah, but that's good also. Yeah, cool. There was another thing that came up in conversation in one of the rooms, maybe 4, I don't remember anymore, that it was, it really felt like the idea was still very abstract, and it was still quite open. And so what I encourage you all to really try and ask the question that you would ask the user or the participant of your project to yourself first, so, and like everybody in the group, so that then you can start seeing how because sometimes what you think the answer will be is not necessarily what the answer you will get from most people. So it's good to start asking yourself first the question that you will ask your audience, so that you can kind of concept proof your project as you go. And the more you start doing this self assessment, let's say self assessment, not necessarily within your person but within your group, the more you start fleshing out the idea in itself. One thing that I remember I was doing all the time at uni, I would spend the night before up until 5 a.m. of an exam or something to finish things all the time, because I had other things to do before and I was basically slacking, or simply I was spending a lot of time thinking about what to do rather than doing it. Then I was just spending tons of time before. And now I like to sleep more the night before. I just try to keep my hands off my computer the night before of a delivery. I really try and structure my time properly. Like I tell myself, okay, after this date, I cannot anymore think about the concept, because now it's really about making it happen, because the production time is actually what takes the most amount of time in a project. And so it's really about structuring your time properly so that you have your concept phase. It's not that once you finish this concept phase, that's the project, that's it. It will change till the last day, but at least you've done, you can focus on making things happen properly. Is there, yeah, exactly, stop discussing, start making. This is like absolutely the golden rule of things. We can overthink everything so many times, but it's only when you start doing something that things will change. And you can start doing thing by a storyboard, by telling your idea to a friend, to your teammate, to another team, and according to what you get, because sometimes it's hard for people to understand what you're on about. And so it's good to get a good mirror of things. Is there anything else that you guys felt of happened in your sessions, or something that you feel changed from before the feedback to after the feedback, or at least with the feedback?
I'm just going to quickly say the realization that you just brought up, that we will be able to discuss this so much because there's so many great ideas going on, but we kind of have to get into the next phase to leave space for production to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, since we got to the end of the workshop, I would like to leave you with something. It's not necessarily an exercise, but something for you to keep in mind and to do when you go this afternoon in your next workshop or whatever. Is basically to really start fleshing out, even if you don't have the perfect idea, to really start putting things written, stop talking, writing them down, even if it is a mind map, even if it is a storyboard, even if it is a bunch of copy that, like writing, but stop talking and start writing it. And because then you can, once you write it, you can go back to the talking, but you have to have something to discuss, otherwise it's all up in the air. So I encourage you to go to your Miro board and continue this discussion you've had in the breakout room, written in there. Yeah, as I said, like do mind maps, like it can be like, this is the like the what, like you write a central keyword in the middle and you branch it out in all the interesting things, and from one branch you go to other things, and then you can start understanding a bit more schematically where you want to go. And yeah, storyboards are very, very useful, even if it's just a text storyboard, like this happens, then this happens. Mood board are absolutely key because you can start seeing things together, and schedule your time nicely so that you don't end up spending one night production and 20 days talking. And ask other groups for reviews, because it's useful, especially once you go more into the production, to see if people understand. Another thing that came up in conversation was like, maybe we can just leave a bit of an ambiguous ending. If that's your goal, go for leaving an ambiguous ending. But if your goal is to communicate something in particular, you shouldn't leave an ambiguous ending, because your goal is to communicate something to your audience. So voila, this is for me. If you have any question, actually, Thomas, you had a question.
feels like I'm the chatty one now. But yeah, I think the visuals that you showed from the video you had was really similar to what I kind of envisioned, and I think many in our groups saw, like both the kind of particles moving around, and also the red thread, I would name it, that was kind of moving in depth on the screen.
acidic swirls, yeah.
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 I think both of that was extremely cool. Like, what could you tell me in which program you did it? And
so that's all web coding. So it's not that's not a video in itself. That's all an real-time interactive program. So, but because the goal there was to make things reactive in real time, but you can also, if you don't need to do that, you can do it in After Effects, in Cinema, in whatever. Like there's, I'm sure there's like plugins or ready-made things for a particle system for sure. I guess it very much depends. Like what you want to do. I mean, for sure, there, if you Google particle system with SA software, you're gonna get loads of tutorial, loads of informations on how to do it. Yeah, so definitely go for that. There's
yeah, I'm gonna say that's like my experience of After Effects so far. It's just like finding the right search word,
Yeah.
putting them into Google or YouTube, and just binge tutorials basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
particle systems, and what would you say for the acidic swale movement?
I mean, those were particles as well, but they don't need to be particle necessarily. For me, they were a bunch of points in a line, but you can also have a line, or it depends what you want to achieve. But I mean, in my case, particle systems. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, as a general rule, like choose the software you want to work with, find a tutorial for what you want to achieve, and I'm sure somewhere you'll find a way to do it. Are there any other questions? Okay. I mean, I think we can wrap it up here. If you continue with your ideas on the Miro board, if you want to share them with me on Slack, or if you have questions for me on Slack, I know there is a team that wants to speak with me. We can speak after this. I can stay in this conversation.
Sorry, I have a question. I always wait a little bit to see if there are other questions. I just wanted to ask you really quickly, when you talked about responsive visual, that they react to music. Which kind of software do you use? That I have a friend who uses Touch Designer.
Yeah.
Do you know, or what do you use, or if you can talk a little bit about that? Thank you. They were amazing.
The Touch Designer is definitely one. I use something similar to Touch Designer called VVVV. It's simply 4 V's, one after the other. But you can also use Unity. You can also use Unreal Engine. Yeah, so you can pick and choose what you prefer. I prefer to use node-based programming software. So for example, like Touch Designer and VVVV, because I have a visual mind, let's say, so that's easier for me. But yeah, if your friend uses Touch Designer, I'd recommend to start with Touch Designer, because you can ask him for tips,
Yeah.
which is always handy. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
And Chris, can I ask if you are able to share some of your Miro board, like a print screen or something, with the class?
Yeah.
So that they get some kind of example.
Yeah, I had.
Would you guys like to have that, some kind of?
So I had shared the link before. I can share it again right now.
Okay, on Slack maybe we can put that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and to reinforce what Chris mentioned about the exercise, I would actually like to say that it would be preferred that if you guys would put on Teambook, that the reasoning is that I truly agree with Chris that like the discussion needs to, it doesn't need to be stopped, but I think it'd be best to already start putting them on paper, visualize these ideas. And I think why Teambook is good is because every team can look at every other team's process. So you gain some kind of insight, and also you're exchanging the learning and the work process with one another. And hence that's why Teambook is created, so that we make it like an open source learning even among the class. So I would strongly encourage you guys to already start using it to put your process there. And then to Chris' exercise today, even if the Miro is kind of in process, it's not refined, it doesn't matter. It's best to already start putting things, and you can, even if you have different narratives, pick 2 or 3 and start kind of expanding them and put on a Miro board, so that along the way, when you start developing, you can already start to see which one is so-called better than the other. When you reach a point of stagnation, the research doesn't develop further, or one has a lot of arms, like keep extending out. So you get this sense that this certain idea might have more potential in development. So I think that is the reason why it's better to best put this at the early phase than to discuss forever and find a perfect idea which does not exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see when you go through my Miro board, if you haven't yet, a lot of the visuals there are quite crappy. There's a lot of things that are like very DIY, like sometimes it's literally a picture of a sketch that I made with my crappy drawing skills. You know, it's the point is not to make something fancy there. The point is like having a fast-paced working environment where you can put things out there quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I haven't sent to the client my shitty drawing. Sorry for the, but yeah, it's a way that you can work with your team quickly. You know, somebody comes to you, is like, how do you have this in mind again? And you go like,
yeah,
work fast.
Cool. So maybe you guys can share, hopefully by end of the week. I would like to see on the team book what you have. And Cristina can also get to see your Miro boards, and you can ask her quick questions in Slack. So let's make this kind of open, you know, learning. The workshop doesn't stop here. So really make use of the opportunity of Cristina and other mentors' existence during her module. So as long as you're able to flesh out your work out there, then it's easier for us to review and give you feedback and guidance. So don't hold back in sharing, start making. And Chris will answer further questions on Slack, yeah?
Yeah, you can find me there.
Cool. Yeah,
Slack, email, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. I have no more announcement. Thank you, Chris.
No worries. Thank you, guys. It was nice. It was great to actually pop in and out of room and see you all thinking about stuff. And yeah, it was exciting. I hope you enjoyed it.
Of
so
course.
for the next team that wanted to talk to me, not the next team, the team that wanted to talk to me, I'm going to stay in this chat. So just stay with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's only for those who remains have further questions, and the rest can go, or is that?
There was a team that they wrote to me on Slack already asking, they wanted to share something with me, and I suggested to do it after the class here. So if it's okay, I can
Sure.
stay.
So I guess whomever that still have questions, please remain and take Chris.
Thank you for your lecture. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cool.
Thank you, Chris.
Good luck for your projects.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Pam.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Hi, Cristina.
Hi.
Hi. So this is going to be really quick because we have the problem that the ones kind of in charge of the questions for you aren't here today. And the rest of us in the group aren't really knowledgeable enough to ask you the correct questions. So would it be possible to book another session with you, or would you prefer over Slack? Or
I mean, for me, we can do anytime. I mean, I thought this was the best option because we were already in a visual chat and it made it easy. But we can also do another time. I mean, like I'd say, ask me anyway now because maybe it can help already. And if it doesn't help, then let's try once more.
Yeah. Because I can tell you straight from the start that we're not going to be able to ask the correct questions, because the one who has all the knowledge, she knows what questions to ask. We don't even know what questions to ask.
But do you know what the problem is that you need a hand with?
Yeah, sure. It would be because our idea would be to maybe scan a body in 3D and then have the visitors influence how this body will take form. So they would influence maybe the color of the skin or gender or age and things like that. So we just wanted to know like the technical difficulties around that. Is that doable at all for this?
It's absolutely doable. I can explain you and then maybe take notes. So for an external input, let's say a person, to influence your 3D scan, you need to use an interactive coding, let's say, program. So what you need is to have your 3D models in this software, and you need something the user can use to interact with this. So you need either a camera, or you need an infrared camera if you want to track the movement of the person, or you can also use a mouse. So the movement of the mouse influences things in there. But basically, you need an input device that again can be so I don't know if you were there yesterday in the workshop.
No, I wasn't.
Anybody else was there of you guys?
I was there.
Okay, so do you remember the virtual reality project with the big balloon?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, so the body of the person was influencing what was happening in the virtual world, because we had a Kinect, which is this infrared camera in the back, and we were tracking the movement of the body. So I could translate the real movement of the person to the virtual world, and this movement would affect the whatever. And it was quite easy to connect, changing, for example, the color of the light, you said the color of the scan or something else, because you just have to connect, for example, the parameter of the hand going up with the parameter of the color. It's fairly simple. Of course, you need to get into a bit of coding to do this. So yeah, I mean, this most simple software that I know of that is interactive and it doesn't, it's very simple to use, is Spark AR to make face filters. You can.
Sorry, what was that?
Spark AR.
Spark
AR. It's the one that it's on Instagram and Facebook to make the face filters. Of course, it's very much for face filter and it's for AR, but you could. That's the most simple software that I know of. It's probably not necessarily what you need, but depends on what you want to do. That's a AR thing. So what I recommend, yeah, I think you should understand how you want the person to affect this 3D model. So if it moves the cursor like a mouse somewhere, and if the mouse is on the left hand side, the thing becomes pink. If it's on the other one, becomes blue. Or if you want the person to move, or basically you have to understand how you want the person to affect this thing.
Yeah, sorry, because the options we're thinking between would be, one would be that a person connects their Instagram account and the ones with most followers gets most influence over changing the appearance of it.
Yeah.
It could also be that you fill out a questionnaire with, or rather that you would do like a privilege walk kind of. So like, for example, a white middle-aged man would have the most influence over how it looks, and depending on your privilege, you get more or less influence over how it's going to look.
So you can say, like, I fill in somewhere my characteristic, like my gender, my race, my age, whatever. And this affects something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or just that you get more power, if you know what I mean. Either that your appearance we haven't decided like the way it's going to be decided who gets most power and how it's implemented, but these are kind of how we're thinking.
Yeah. I mean, for something that is not so immediate, but it's more like data, you can also like pre-make some models that have like, I don't know, a pink tint or a blue tint or a yellow tint, whatever. And then if it's a white guy or if it's a white person or a black person, this is, you go for, or like white, black, Asian, probably I'm using like all the wrong words, but
no worry, don't.
you can go for pink, blue, or yellow. Wow, I'm making horrible things here.
I know we've been the same when we ideate this. It sounds horrible.
The same.
Sorry. So, but you know, you can kind of like remake, so it doesn't have to be absolutely real time. You can just say, if you're a person with these characteristics, then you're assigned this model. So you don't have to make it too interactive. It can also be a simple click through, because you just have to click on the right boxes to get to the right thing. So I don't know if you've ever used Figma and Sketch. They are UX software. Mostly they're used for apps and website design and things like this. But they're quite cool because you can create a click-through prototype as a designer. So I don't have to do any coding. There is just you make a button, and then you make an image or an element, and you connect it with an arrow simply to another element. I can write this here: Sketch and Figma. And so you can have a click-through prototype. So let's say I click on I'm a white guy, and I go, oh, white person, doesn't matter. And this button is going to take me to the pink model. So you can also make your life much easier this way. So you don't have to know coding. You don't have to know. You just keep your parameters simple. And yeah, then you go like this. This is not going to have nice animation. It's going to literally be a click-through prototype. There is Frame. I think is it Frame? Let me just check. I forgot the name. No. Okay, I forgot the name. But there's another side, but you have to code a bit. I will have to check.
All right. Yeah, but because that's the problem. Like the ones we have one person who can code, and she would prefer not to code because she has done it so much before. All of us others, sure, I'm open to learn it, but I don't know if I would be able to since I've never coded in my life. So
yeah, but I mean, if it's not in real time, if it's simply I am this kind of user, and therefore I'm gonna get this kind of result. You can just pre-make, like you can make a tree structure. If you look at how Bandersnatch was made, you can see like if you click here, you go here. If you click here, you go there. It's simple, and so you kind of like pre-make your scheme. So there's nothing to code. You can use this design software, which are very, very simple. It's like so simple to learn how to use it. And yeah, I think that would be your best option.
Awesome.
Thank
you very much.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No worries. I mean, so bring this back to your full team. Check, you know, if this can work for actually what you want to do. And if you have further questions, just ask me.
Yeah, we will definitely have other questions.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
No
Yeah,
worries.
thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye, bye.